Hello world, from whichever time zone you're catching me from, my name is MD90. This is Mlanga, this is Owen, and you're tuned in to Kutika the podcast. Stay tuned.
So the purpose of immunity is also to protect certain bad acts the president
That's
did
yes.
for the interest of the nation.
Yes.
Because usually there are certain things that are quite dangerous and quite sensitive if we to tell the nation to say it. So we are not going to look at the benefit, we are going to just look at the act.
Yes.
I'm sorry to put it that way, but politicians are very selfish. Where it came from, how it started, who brought it out, it was brought by Chagwa. To protect certain evil doings of the president and certain evil doings of the president because there's too much secrecy at that position.
Yes. It's like just that issue about gassing.
Yeah.
If you remember, election was like, no, we'll find out gassing, whatever. Once he got in that office and he probably found the information, if you ever heard him make a statement about that, you see that?
Even Edgar Lungu was the lawyer for the Gabon disaster, guys. He pushed for that.
No, it was
and he said, when I form government, I will release the
information
and the report of what
happened.
When he went to
no. See? Gentlemen, how's been your week? Owen, Mlan. You've been there what week?
No, the week has been full of activities.
You are out of town and in town.
I was out of town for about 3 days. Yeah, it was a crazy journey, but we're back. Yeah.
For me, my week has been busy as well. Yeah, but I never traveled out. Still in.
You had the showgrounds with the kids and family
there.
Yeah, it was short time.
It was short time. I also took time to take my kids to the shop just that they can have an experience. Yeah.
Alright, in the news, one element that seems to not be going anywhere is the former president, Edgar Chagwa. He's been making the news a lot the past since living in State House. But one thing that seems to be prominent is there's one section of society that's advocating that his immunity should be removed, so that everything that he has pending in terms of cases or any legal issues should be faced in the courts of law. And then there's another element to say, no, we're going to set the precedence, because FTJ had removed his immunity, but there is nothing really tangible that came out of that. So I don't know what you gentlemen.
So not only FTJ, even Rupia Panda.
Well, we removed his immunity and then we restored.
Yes.
Wow.
They did.
Who restored it? Is this still start or it was
No, it's this year.
Yeah.
Who restored it?
Yeah. Yes.
So that's the precedence. It's like in the case of South Africa, where in the second term the president is impeached. That has become a trend, right?
Yeah.
Since Thabo Mbeki,
Yeah.
everyone that comes after that, they've been so. Even this guy, like when they open parliament, in fact, Julius has been warning to say, is that the right route? Do you feel it's necessary to remove this year's immunity?
Rank, what do you think?
It's a very very sensitive matter, but I took time to look at this whole issue about immunity, what is involved. What is immunity? It's just basically some kind of protection and privileges that the president and people in authority have.
Yes.
So in this case, if we talk of taking away the immunity from a former president, the question will be, what would be the purpose or what is the reason? Is there anything that the nation is benefiting out of it? Is there anything that, is it personal? Is it an issue of wanting to punish a person that has this immunity? Because those are privileges that you go with. It's like a retirement package that he needs to enjoy.
Job, yes.
So there are two things that, for me, I look at it from that angle. Is it beneficial to the nation? If the issue of taking away immunity, is it beneficial to the nation? How beneficial is it to an ordinary person like you and me, Owen?
Yeah, so for me, before I take my position, so the reason why people are advocating for that, I think it's because is ever coming out to defend himself, to say I'm innocent, and most of those allegations that has been leveled against him. Yes. So what people are advocating now is, okay, since you're saying you're innocent, can we strip out your immunity so that you can clearly prove yourself that you are indeed free. Then if it's proven that you are free, you don't have all those allegations people have thrown at you, then it will be restored back. So,
but my issue with Edgar Chagwa is this. Generally, what I feel Edgar was never secure of his presidential position. That's where the problem started from. That's for me. You find that if you look at during the time Michael Sat was still alive, the only reason why Edgar Lungu was being given, at some point, he was the only person that has ever held a lot of portfolios at one time. He was Minister of Justice, Minister of Home Affairs, Secretary General of Patriotic Front. And I can't remember, he had, no one has held so many portfolios at once like Edgar Lungu. And do you know the reason why? It's because it was clear enough within the circles to say this person has no political, in terms of presidential ambitions. It was clear to say, even if a president who goes out of town and he lives in acting president, he will not start having underground meetings, because everyone that was there at the time, Winter Kabimba, Shimbakambwili, GBM, it was clear they wanted to be the next guy in line. If it is Winter, it becomes so bad, he started running the country as if the president is not even there. That's why that element of the cartel, is it the cartel, where there were allegations to say him and Fred were running the country in the background and stuff like that. Do you remember when Winter was fired, the celebration was almost equivalent to when PF had won?
Yes.
Because
So yes, I think there can be some element of truth. So usually a mind of a person cannot be, no one knows what a person harbors in his mind. So maybe he was so good that he didn't show it out, but maybe deep down his heart, he had those aspirations and he was looking forward to those opportunities to come. So my thinking was, I don't know where Edgar lost it from the UNZA graduation and wherever he was coming from. I think he was a top student, a good lawyer, a top lawyer, and worked for prominent institutions like that. So along the way, I think things started going bad for him. At some point, even his practicing license was revoked until he went into politics, until the PF won. Eventually they started dying whilst him acting, and that's how he ended up from there, and I think things started to unfold. So one of the things that I saw is, in as much as he really wanted maybe to become, maybe there was a bit of unpreparedness. There was a lot of the event was so quick that it caught him by surprise that he was the president. So even in terms of activities after retiring, I think he never even prepared for those. If you saw,
but you do not expect to lose the elections after 2021.
But you see what happens with politics. I really do not want us to go into, but this is my analysis. If you think through, as we are going into the election of 2021 August, the PF was confident.
Yes.
And the issue that was there, that they were confident, especially the top people, leadership. The challenge that was there, these guys, they had done what they could in terms of infrastructure, and they were convinced.
Yes.
Everyone was pleased with them.
And
then again, the people.
Yes.
Yeah, hold on. Then the people that really did not, even now, I think the same people for me, they're not doing good for the ACA or the former president. They have still continued on that trajectory of not telling the truth.
Yeah.
So at that particular time, they told the boss to say, you are popular, you have this on the ground. So it reached a point where now the majority people or the society out there started they would chant slogans for PF.
Yes.
As a result, as as a symbol or as a way of survival, because at that particular time,
Yes,
I need to act, I'm in favor
Yes,
with you,
yes.
because that's my only survival. Because if I'm going to chant slogans of praising you, I'm going to benefit something out of you. But in literal sense, you have crushed my any source of income and my livelihood. So at that particular time, I'm just looking for something that is going to go in my area. Then on top of that, they would tell the boss, because I don't know what happens with presidents. It's like it cuts them out of society and in touch with people on the ground. So now you rely on people that inform you.
Secondary information.
So the question again that I might not know. I do not know the report that the president gets from other sources in terms of
So
government
you remember
institutions.
we interviewed a prominent leader in the PF who mentioned to say, even when they were on the ground,
Yes.
people assured to them to say, Edgar
We were voting for him.
is
back
going
in-
through. Maybe the MPs might lose. So they were so confident that looking at the infrastructure, even the money that was injected in during campaigns, which card
it is at that particular time where the people that were telling people who were in authority then, they didn't tell them the truth. Because the people that were telling them, even the former prominent person that we interviewed, they had lost touch with the grassroots. They were interviewing their own cadres.
Yes.
And their own cadres are these people who were like, boss, you know, that kind of a thing.
yeah,
So, you know, that kind of thing.
Yes.
But the other thing they needed to do, if today I were to advise politicians, I would tell them to say, actually get people that are not even in the face of society to say these are politicians. Just get natural people, neutral people, I mean, that are not even anywhere that are not to them. Then send them in society and tell them, get report. Give us a report for how it is. But I hear some other information, these people were given information on a report, but they discarded it because it was not sitting well with what we were looking for. So now, even when we talk of this immunity, they have, and even just these other events that have been going on, where the president issues, the former president issues a statement, and I don't really mind who, but every person needs to be respected for whatever authority, office that they held. Then when we come to this issue of immunity, for me, I'm looking at it is how beneficial is it going to be to the nation? I'm looking at it from two ways. It's either a bad thing and a good thing. I'll start with the bad aspect. The bad aspect, it sends a wrong message and image to the outside world, and also fear to people that want to enter into politics. Why? Because it's like when I leave this position of my political position I'm trying to get, I'll be persecuted. So out of politics also, other people that they know genuinely this could be a good thing, they want to gain mileage out of that. And they want to use it to say, no, look at how this new government is persecuting these other people. So from that aspect, if we look at it from the positive aspect of it, if I'm going to hold anything, I should be held accountable. I like giving a reference to the issue of the Bible. So even God wants us to be accountable with our own lives. So if you're going to give someone this responsibility, even when you're given a responsibility at the office or anywhere else, you are taught to report on how they journey went.
So maybe before you lose your thought, the area one you mentioned to say it might give fear to those who want to go into politics. Don't you think it's a good thing? If you go into politics, you need to be prepared to do the right thing, because you know if you don't do the right thing,
it will go left.
You'll be persecuted, your immunity. Because if we continue to protect immunity and protect them, they will do a lot of wrong things.
They know
I won't be persecuted. We've got a lot of good politicians and good leaders who've never been persecuted even out of politics. They've continued with their lives. Some are even being recalled back into politics because of their
performance.
You're right
right standing in terms of behavior.
You're right when you say that, because this is where my thought is coming in. Okay, if I'm going to be given a responsibility to head this or to anything, I'm supposed to be giving a report. But if I'm going to give a report or handover notes or something like that, if I'm going to give that handover notes or report, the people that are going to see, they're going to look at these notes or report. If there's something that is not sitting well, they'll come and question me. Sir, come. we want to ask on this, and that. It is not okay, and I think it is giving us a wrong impression on what you have reported. It's literally contradicting to what we are actually expecting from you. So at that particular time, now that is the time now you need to call this person. Now, the current government and the previous government. Now, for this individual now, because they were acting in that office, but they were acting as an individual because they held that position as an individual. So now they need to answer to these queries. Now, this person cannot be called to this place to answer queries because they've got a barrier that prevents anyone from asking them those. And that is what we call immunity. So now, if we're going to lift immunity, we should look at it from the positive aspect, but we should also stipulate something. We want to lift this immunity, and when we lift this immunity, it is temporal because we want you to call you to come to us and answer these queries. When we are cleared with these queries, we will reinstate it to you. We are not taking it away because those are the privileges of how much you sacrifice your time to save us. Okay, so now the challenge that comes in Africa, to be specific, is like we take immunity to make the other person become an ordinary person. You understand? Because immediately you take away that immunity, you make that person become an ordinary person like me.
Sue them for anything.
You can sue them at anything. Anyone can just do anything at anything. So at this particular time, I do not know how the law stipulates on that. Maybe if there is a guidance to say, okay, this person is stipulated just the immunity has been lifted just for them to answer queries that related to government inquiries.
Here is what I think should be the right cost of proceeding. Because if we did it for FTJ and then you say we also did it for RB, we don't want to send that precedence for the sake of if there's a new party is going to happen. It's natural for human beings. It's going to happen. Yeah. So with Edgar Lungu, let's use him as an example. If the current government is aware of properties like they say the 15 hours, is it 15 profiles that were seized from his wife and any other thing that they have seized, let us go for those properties. You see? So if it comes down to it to say, okay, now most of the property, it's alleged that no, it's coming under people's names. It's not actually in his name. You'll find no, it's in his wife's name, it's in another person's name or another people's names. So we go for the properties. Then, if there is a need for, like the way he's coming out to defend his wife and stuff like that, that's when you can go for his immunity. Because if it just comes for the sake of, no, let's remove it his immunity for the sake of removing it. Because Edgar Lungu, in my case, is like, he was never secure of his position because everyone felt entitled, no, we put you there. I'll give you an example. There was a time when when they just entered politics, like when he was about to appoint running mate, Harikava stated seriously, I want to be your vice president. And then Edgar Lungu, in his joking form, was like, whatever, vice president, whatever. And you could tell from the demeanor that was his cutting point. Like you can tell, like it's one of those things that I crack a joke, but there is some element of truth, and it offends you. And if you see that clip, you can tell that no, that's where Harikava made his decision. I'm getting out of this because he saw like there is no clear path of me becoming president if this guy stays around. Even if he was to run his foot games, he was not going to appoint me clearly. So that's where he made later on to say, no, we resigned from his position. So all those, let me finish my thought. All those people, when given the wind and stuff like that, they feel the ones that put him there. They're the ones who created a system for him to put there. That's why they could easily make certain demands of him. Even now, you find that during those speeches when they go to his house, you could tell like those guys are putting a stand to create a name and a hype for patriotic front and stuff like that. But the only person that's actually concerned about the consequences of what the president utters is that bodyguard that keeps on preventing him from. Those guys are happy. If you say something radical, yes, where did you get to wonder, where did they at this stage? And it gets to you. So, and that was the unfortunate thing. Edgar Lungu was so not secure of his position that anyone could do any nonsense as long as you branded that, no, Edgar Lungu. Kalimanshi would literally insult the people that Edgar Lungu has appointed, but not insult Edgar Lungu. No, he will give Lungu the fishing level, he insults this person by saying, well, for Edgar Lungu, wait. The person that I have appointed, you're insulting them, but me, you're saying, no, I'm for you. And that was common, even in the streets. Kapola, if they set up a roadblock and they find the political cadre, you are you. And literally that guy will be posted to some village and stuff. So people, he was not so severe. Whoever attached to say no, I'm supporting you, in as much as I do nonsense in my name and just say I'm doing it in the name of ECO. And that's what they are replicating even now. Those guys are not protecting his immunity or anything. They're just trying to send their own message in the name of Edgar.
You see, the other thing that I think people are not looking at. It's very unfortunately in my mind or in my thoughts. It's very unfortunately that people want to use ECO and they use them even then. Personally, I feel the big man is not as bad as people.
No. As a person, he's a very.
Yes, so he's good. But the problem that comes in is people are using his name. They've used his name and they're using.
That's politics.
So you see, when you see people talking about immunity, you can't lift his immunity because immediately the immunity of the president is lifted, will expose other people that were actually
Basically, that's
so now they know for sure to say if this person is going to have no barrier because it's like the certain connection are linked to him.
Yes.
You get the point. Are linked to him. So if he's going to be exposed, or those things are going to be exposed, he's going to be exposed as well, and you're going to lose property as well. You're going to lose property.
And that's where we should go as a government.
So now, what I am saying as of right now in terms of immunity, for me, looking at it from the positive aspect, if ECO, like he has said, I am ready, let's not politicize this. We just want this person to be accountable. If there's something that is not right with the former president, we get that and give it to the nation. We saw what happened with Faith. Money was taken back.
Yes.
And when money was taken back, who benefited? The nation benefited.
Yes.
Okay. If for the sake of clearing his name, because we cannot have this issue of trying to make the former president look like was a demon or he did everything that is evil. No. At the end of it, we want to clear his name that even when he's passing there, says no, they were thinking, or people are thinking, or society was thinking of ECO in this way. That has been cleared because all these allegations have been cleared. All those are just allegations. We're not saying he did something bad or he did not do something bad. He's just a human being who's prone to do something. Hold on, let me clear this thought. So, on the good aspect, for me, if you call me, there's nothing wrong to call any person to say, can you explain on this? But the problem is we cannot call him. And we need to lift his immunity for that. Now, I remember one time the Minister of Justice says, the current. So he said there are plans of the current government lifting the immunity of the former president. Okay, and he was asked, I think by some journalists, he answered, if there be need and we have anything that is pointing to him, and there is relevant evidence to say his immunity needs to be lifted because he needs to come and explain or answer these queries, then we'll lift it. If there's nothing, we will not lift it. So the issue of no, they want to lift this, the issue, which it's not even a big thing, because at the end of it, if the government wants to lift the immunity, let them come with reasons for lifting his immunity. For me, I would support it because there's a reason for lifting this. If there's no reason, government will not lift it, because even if you want to do it, you do it out of what? Then, like we were saying, in the past, it was just personal wanting to persecute the person. It's a situation where you just want this person to feel
the pinch
and your weight and stuff like that. So that is a bad precedent, though. If we have to go
so that. Okay, maybe I'll start with the purpose of the immunity one. So the purpose of immunity is also to protect certain bad acts the president
does. Yes.
For the interest of the nation, because usually there are certain things that are quite dangerous and quite sensitive if we to tell the nation to say it. So we are not going to look at the benefit, we are going to just look at the act.
Yes.
This. So that's basically what the immunity is there also. Apart from the immunity, even if you lift, there are certain oath of secrecy they swear and do.
Yes.
There are certain information still you won't get.
Just like ministers, they cannot review after 20 years.
So you'd find lifting the immunity immunity usually has got very less benefits, and it's just I think one of the reasons why it's usually done, and it was done in the past, if the former president doesn't really want to move out of the political arena and maybe be neutral to the players, I think the sitting government will feel disturbed or interrupted with what they are doing.
It's like an issue of benefits. You can't even get your benefits.
Yes, knowing how much power and influence and how much information.
Yes.
Because you know that's the reason why the bodyguard continues to shoot him. There's nothing he needs to prove. He has held the highest authority, and for 7 years, that's a lot of time, and he literally knows Zambia in and out.
Yes.
So why should he continue
making
those statements when you know too much? So that's the reason why you feel the sitting government, if they see a former president continues active and supporting maybe the particular party, even you remember Chiluba supported a particular party, and I think that also RB, and those are some of the consequences, plus the allegations that were leveled against them.
Those are just secondary, but
so the fact. So I think with our leaders, my advice would be, even those that would want to go into politics, one, when you go into politics, you should go there to serve the people. And you should also be prepared to groom people to take over leadership. And you should also prepare to have activities out of politics. You know, you need to balance.
There you are.
So
you know, a politician. I was actually watching a sermon. Sorry to cut you.
So okay, before you even add that, we've seen other politicians, our good friends in the US. You've seen Jim Carter. Jim Carter is a very prominent motivation speaker. You know how much he gets when he's called for a public speech. There's a conference I attended where they quoted, is it something like a $15 million per hour per session, actually 30 minutes of the session, and you've seen how many books is written, how much impact is doing. So I think we need to reach that level to say, I've held the highest office. Can I be now a blessing, a mentor, a padre? Yes, you become a statesman, and you.
So what you guys are saying?
We've also got in Africa. We've also got the one who's making a good. Obasanjo. Obasanjo has got also a lot of influence in Africa. He's also got a lot of predictions for Africa, where he sees Africa and what some of the strings Africa can pull if they want to compete. He's proposing also the one currency, Africa, whatever he's calling it. He's encouraging a lot of African nations. I think those are some of the things. Yes, so that you are not wasting your time in political arena.
Yes. So now, where you're saying, you see, in African politics, a politician in Africa is never ready for the exit to leave, and they never plan for
it. And it seems so.
And to be very honest, my personal opinion and my observation, our own here, the former president, was not ready to exit at this particular time. Because initially there was an issue of the court and other thing. If I were to be one of his advisors, I would advise him then to say not to contest.
Yes.
Whether it's going third term or what, I don't really mind on that, but he wouldn't have. Because, at the end of it all, he was going to have enough time to plan for his exit. Yes. And his exit was going to be so much favored and respected.
Because once you lose...
When you lose power out of a vote, you actually get... It's more or less like you've been humiliated.
Yes, the humiliation.
You wanted to impose yourself. You wanted to impose yourself.
So if you pick someone else and you move out of the limelight, the humiliation will go to that particular person,
yes.
and it will be your job maybe to counsel and
Yes.
Was at that particular
person
time
that you picked
picked
as
what you have said is a situation of a person who's ready to leave and step down.
Yeah,
which is not
good example we can give is the Obasanjo one. We can also give Mandela was ready.
That one becomes easier if a person accepts 2 terms and they know I cannot go for the 3rd term.
Yeah.
And they know whatever happens, I cannot do anything. So politics, I have seen politicians. I have seen one politician here in this country. One time I was working and this person came. I was looking at them at some point because I met this person at some ministry when my friend was doing something at that ministry. And this person was like, they had everything. He was a minister driving some very, I think Range Rover by then was actually, there are very few people, even ministers, that were driving Range Rovers. He was just everything. So later on, I saw him when he was in the MMD. I saw him coming. He didn't have any political influence or position. I looked at the man that I knew then, and I looked at the man that I was seeing. I could literally see to say politicians, they are never ready to exit, because if this man had prepared to say anytime my position I can lose it, he wasn't going to be, because he had influence, he had the money, he had every access.
Obviously, the money you were seeing then was
and privileges.
Was Congolese man, because in that capacity, people just go and get credit using that.
Some of them, they just go there. People like, no, we want to give you this. So what I'm trying to put across here is a situation where every time, even any other job, every day that you go for work, you're actually going closer to your retirement.
Yes.
And every day you work, you need also to be contributing towards your retirement package or retirement plan and stuff like that. So now I really want to say politicians in Africa, they're never ready. I'll give you an example of the former president of Botswana, Ian Kam.
Yeah.
So Ian, he stepped out from, I think he's a free man.
Yeah.
Yes, there could be a bit of persecution here and there. It's an African thing. We should find a way and a solution. But at the end of it, he went to the farm. I think one time I saw a posting on Facebook where he was watching a local football match where it's not even something very fancy like in that nation. Maybe it was this league. No, it was just a community thing. He went there and he's watching and he's having fun. He goes fishing. He is a free man. Yeah. And I think we have not heard him issuing any inflammatory statements. So now the problem comes in if I'm like, it's like I've got a girlfriend. I was not ready. Then she breaks up with me when I had plans with her. Chances are that you're going to ask me, I'm not going to say something nice because I was not ready.
Yes.
But it's a situation where we agree to say things is not working. I think let's go and mutual. So it's rare times. Now I want to say and bring another point. Immunity in this country, where it's coming from, how it came about. It was, politicians are most selfish people, by the way. I'm sorry to put it that way, but politicians are very selfish people. Where it came from, how it started, who brought it up, it was brought by Chagwa. FTJ tossed Kaunda left, right, and center. And he knew that what I have done will be done to me. And he brought the immunity. Because he knew he needed to be protected. Just like you have said, Owen, to say, no, immunity is to protect certain evil doings of the president. And certain evil doings of the president, because there's too much secrecy at that position.
Yes.
And certain secrecy, if they are to be reviewed, they will actually damage the image of the nation.
The public is not ready to
damage also the office of the president.
Yes.
Even the president now, I want to believe there are certain things obvious when I think he made a revelation to say some of the things that I have seen. If you see them, you will actually be shocked.
It's just like that issue about gassing.
Yes.
If you remember, Electric was like, no, we'll find out gassing, whatever. Once he got in that office and he probably found the information, if you ever heard him make a statement about that, you see that.
Even Edgar Lungu was the lawyer for the Gabon disaster, guys. He pushed for that. And he said, when I form government, I will release the statement and the report of what happened. When he went to
So that
is the reason why immunity was brought about. I think if you know very well, we have something that I don't want to talk about it more, but we have a prominent person in a government institution who is being questioned by some other government institutions. I don't want to mention anything here. So this person is saying, no, if you want me to appear before you, lift the certain secrets of oath.
Yes.
So
I'm ready to talk.
So I'm ready to talk.
Yes.
So it's a situation where now, even lifting or cancel that secrets of oath, what secrets is this person going to reveal?
Yes.
So it is a political thing. It is a thing that is literally in somewhere, some institution somewhere. You know? So, but what it is there, it is actually protecting that person and protecting the position and the office. Because if certain things are going to be,
the level of access of
will be like, this is what is going on. It will review and expose certain things. We don't know who is implicated in all those things.
It's like what the CIA does. They put 25 years before they review information of what they did in the past. Like there's a certain time frame they've put, say, they know in 25 years this information is no longer as relevant as
So it is the same situation we're talking about. Immunity. You can imagine we lift the immunity of the president and just begin to say, but the president, the former president, is also shown to theme of secrecy, oath of secrecy. I remember there was a time when Mbakamburi left or was fired. He said, I saw to the oath of secrecy, and I cannot say certain things. If then the president, ECL, is ready for me to say certain things, let him lift it. I'll cancel the oath of secrecy, because the president is the only one who can do that.
Yes.
And you can't do that, because even when you leave government, you will still so to that. Should you review? You actually taken in.
So even Chagwa said it also in meetings. I'm not allowed to share it here, but I'm telling you. Yes. So it's sort of, anyway, this is a conversation that we can keep on having over and over again. Ladies and gentlemen, give your thoughts. Are you for the advocacy that we remove ECL's immunity? Or maybe we just go after the people that are around him? Because then again, if we go around the people around him to send a message, because they're the ones who influence the president to do certain things. So, for example, if anyone that has done any illegal thing around him, conquer property, then it sends a message. Once everyone is on edge, the president also.
So it's a tricky there. So I go and do something wrong, and the wings or government institution tasked to prevent wrongdoing fail because I mentioned to have been sent by the president. So it becomes tricky. Those institutions will record that, and every time the institution will be questioned to say, but why didn't you not prevent? This is the information. So it points back. You see, so hence the removal.
There's a challenge. If you remember that case of the former Minister of Health and the former PS, when they actually disputed things that were not really certified, and there's some director for medical stores who was fired, and instructions were issued. If you remember, there was a time, I think in Chiluba's time, where the president was very clever. He was issuing instructions on verbal.
Yes.
And it's a situation where
who was that guy who went to Malawi? So
so
the one who was signing, the president just issued the statement.
So what our president did then, FTJ, was issuing
verbal instructions,
and people were acting on it. You cannot say no to the president. No. So you issue a verbal statement, and you say the president says so. So now, if the president says so, but who signs? And by the way, you know to say the president doesn't sign most of the things. Even when they are signing memorandum of understanding, it's the minister, the permanent secretaries, and other government officials. The president doesn't sign. Haven't you asked yourself why the president doesn't sign? Okay, and he's the one who runs the show. Because now it is expected you, as a person who's going to sign, to actually sit down with the president and say, Mr. President, we cannot sign this because of ABCD. I think there was a time where, some of the times where I remember Nandu Magande, the president would say, no, but this money needs to be issued. And the minister would say no. Saying no to the president and explaining to him the implications of releasing these funds. I think there was an issue of UNZA students and staff, where the minister was supposed to, if I'm not mistaken, should be the new allowances and stuff like that. And Nandu Magande stood, and the president just said something and says, we're going to do something. And the minister said no. And it stood like that, and people started actually hating Nandu Magande then. So what happens there is the president issued that. If you remember, the person who issued the statement of that the PS in the Ministry of Health actually is the one that was actually, I don't know if that matter is still in court or what.
Yes.
I don't know. But at the end of it, or what I'm trying to put across or say right now is a situation where the authority gave instructions and it's verbal.
And
I know I've heard certain people who work in these government institutions where the boss issues a certain statement and it's against the laid down ground or rules.
Procedure.
So the person there says, sir, this thing I'm unable to do because guidance is so. In an event you want me to go through this, please, I request you write me an email or something. Because it is one way of implicating the boss to say it was an instruction.
Yes.
Where is evidence of that instruction? Here it is. Yeah. So if the boss knows to say, I'm doing, but you are telling me,
that's the purpose of technocrats. Your job, you know procedure, you know how to source certain funds for certain project. So advice to the president. So president will issue a political statement to appease the masses.
Yes.
So you, after maybe they say no, we'll come and fund this project backward, and then president
budget is no way.
Yes. If we were to fund, these are the procedures and how we
There's a country where a certain minister refused for the president.
It's common in the US.
It's also, I want to believe it's, did they, I don't know if it's South Africa, but there's a minister who, I should think was a minister of finance, refused to say, Mr. President, we cannot do that. I said, if you cannot do that, I'll fire you. So there are two things here. It's about your job and your source of income and following the instruction. You understand that?
Yeah.
And you refuse for the president. He just says, you know what, my friend, I'm not ready to work with you because you're not cooperative. I'm firing you. And definitely fires you because you are not.
Who's this guy?
That.
Yes.
That he also.
And then that thing was signed. Is it 2 days afterwards? That issuance of the ban.
Yes.
When you
even the former governor before
you.
The former governor, it is allegedly that he refused to follow instructions that were given to him.
Yes.
And it's a situation where you save your integrity, and because there is afterlife of your position.
Which has proven.
So because afterlife, they will not follow the person that issued the instruction. They will follow the person. Now, if you want to follow that, you say, sir, I cannot do that. In an event you want me to do it, sir, I advise you write me a note or a letter to authorize or an email showing to say it came from you. Okay? Or showing it was an instruction from so.
When an email comes like that, you are also in that immunity of the person. So you can't answer because it came from someone who has got immunity to you. That's where now these people you see, the former other leaders who were with ECO in government come in. Because it's like, we issue something, it was a transaction, and I think, I am the president. You do the thing, but it's not going to end with you. You are the beneficiary. It has to pass through you, then you benefit after it passes through.
Yes.
So now what is happening, in my view, this is what I'm thinking with these investigative wings. When they follow the matter, it is pointing to the person that has got immunity. Because we cannot follow you all. You are after me. Okay? You are after me.
Yes.
So you say like, I know, but this, I got it from
the top. Okay, I see, gentlemen. I see where this conversation is leading to. So those are our thoughts. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Do you feel it's right to remove his immunity on what grounds, or we should leave his immunity? Then again, the question comes in: are we forfeiting all the property that is alleged to be in his hands, or what are we doing? Let's get your thoughts. Be sure to share this video with a friend, have a conversation with them in the comment section. We interact with you, and we'll catch you next time.